Go. Right, so we are now live. Hi guys. So on today's Facebook Live, we have got the number one and only Charlie Bartlett. Charlie's been working with me for the last 12 weeks, going through my 12-week program, and it's fair to say he's absolutely smashed it. So what we're going to do today is Charlie's going to introduce himself, to tell you a bit more about him and where he's at, his current situation, and then we're going to have a bit of a deep dive as to what we did with Charlie, what he's been working on, what he was struggling with at the start, some of his revelations and some of the things that he's really helped sort of drive his success today in what we've been doing, and generally just celebrate how much he smashed it. So welcome, Charlie.
Thanks, Luke. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. So why don't you just kick off and just sort of, get a really brief intro of you and, who you are and what you do and where you're at.
Yeah, happy days. So, I'm Charlie Bartlett. I'm 30, 31 this year. I think if we jump right back to probably Christmas time, I think for a lot of us was a weird kind of time. We had probably the worst year we could possibly imagine. And everyone was getting proper hype for 2021. It was going to be the year. And then we kind of got a big slap across the face in January to say, actually, no, it's probably going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. Lots of things going on. So for me, and probably like a lot of guys and girls that are watching this video, we're probably sat on my sofa, endlessly scrolling, trying to get some sort of entertainment or justification, and just feeling a bit sort of sorry for myself, and kind of just thinking about, I'm not where I want to be mentally, physically, and pop this picture of this guy in, one can only say shorts, far too small for him, stood on a beach. And I think you messaged, well, we connected, didn't we, on Facebook?
We connected, and then we had a chat message. That was it, yeah.
Had a little chat, and I mean, for anyone that's watching this that knows me, I've always been into my fitness and exercise, but just got lazy, and I say your stereotypical kind of first time dad, baby. My little lad Oscar was born July 2019. And everything just stops, that nothing else matters other than him. Mm-hmm. And you talk to any dads, we all blame the kid for our metabolism stopping.
Yeah, you turn 30 and your metabolism stops. That's game over, isn't it? Done. 30
and a kid there, steam train, metabolism gone. So, for me, I was always, I guess, finding excuses. Oh, I'll do that another day. I'll start my diet tomorrow. Diet starts Monday. The guys that I work with will always know that I'm always keen for, a kebab if it's going, or, I'll polish off the hobnobs. I've got a major sweet tooth. And for me, it was just delaying it, and I was really beginning to feel quite unhappy mentally and physically, and it was, it was frustration, because I know what I could achieve, but I just wasn't doing it. It was just a really weird feeling.
That's what we said, wasn't it? I think, I want you to do more talking than me, Charlie, but like when we first spoke, and I think we said this as well, you were like, it felt like you were stuck in a bit of a rut, right? And it was almost that, like, you can't see the wood from the trees. You're not physically, body weight, you weren't where you wanted to be. But then I think we spoke about this a lot, and I talk about this a lot, and it's like your physical and mental well-being, I think they're kind of like really tightly linked. And if one is out of whack, then it sort of clouds everything. And I think that's what you'd said. And I think that speaks to it. And you talk about making excuses and being lazy. But if you're in that slightly dark place and you're in a bit of a hole and you're not feeling great, that negative thought perpetuates, and you sort of like, you can't, it's almost like, how the fuck do I get started? So excuse my French. Do you know what I mean? And that's how, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what it felt like. That's the sort of situation you were in when we first spoke. Does that sound fair?
I couldn't agree more. And, I'm going to be very open on this chat because I think it's important. And I think, for me, I've always made sure everyone else is okay. And, it's about making sure that you actually take a step back and, like you say, see, wood through the trees, because until you take that step back and start focusing on you as an individual, you're just banging your head against the wall. Yeah, everyone around you can be happy as far as social media goes, but for me, it wasn't until I started working with yourself that actually I realized, hang on a minute, you know, there's a few things we need to work on here, which we did, didn't we? And we absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, no, you completely smashed it. So that's where you were at. Well, when we first spoke, it was not in a great place mentally because of how you were feeling physically, but then that's impacting other things. Like, you know, you would say as well, you know, self-esteem lower than you would normally be because, you know, historically a very confident, outgoing type of guy. And so it was about, I think part of it was like picking you up and then giving you the tools to sort of push you forward, both from a physical perspective, you know, lifestyle, putting those things in, but also getting your head in the right place. And I think we spoke about this is that, right, one without the other, I believe, doesn't necessarily work. And I think often, especially with us guys, we're like, yeah, I just need a diet and training, and that's all that matters. And yeah, I'm fine. But then, like, you realise it's that self-reflective bit, a little bit of reflection. You go, oh, maybe, you know, there's a little bit else going on, and you put those two pieces together. So that being said, then we started 12 weeks back. You've lost a shit of weight, like your head's now in a great place. What have been the sort of the game changers or the realizations that we've worked on that have helped you achieve what we've achieved?
I think it's holding yourself accountable. Like I said, you know, the only person that can make a change is yourself. And, you know, anyone that's sat there watching this now thinking, you know, I could do this, I would say to you, don't even hesitate. Just make that decision, get in touch and let's just smash it. Because for me, it was, I knew what I needed to do, but it was having that accountability, self-discipline and motivation. I think were the three key elements that were kind of wavering a little bit. And I've always had an interest in fitness and physiology and exercise. And it was kind of just in the back of my head. And it kind of took the work that we did together to kind of almost reignite that and put it into practice.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, you know, Luke shouting at me over the phone, telling me to lift more weight. It's if anything, it's completely the opposite, you know. It's not about chicken and broccoli every day, you know, protein. It's about putting systems in place that it then becomes a habit. Like, I mean, should we talk about intermittent fasting, for example?
Yeah, you can tell you about that because that would work really well for you, for sure.
Yeah. So I did intermittent fasting, which I did 16 hours fasting and 8 hours eating. So for me, that was eating from midday, 12 o'clock through to 8 o'clock at night. That's not eating everything I see. That's sort of set meals with, you know, nutrient targets in place, predominantly protein. And then after 8 p.m. in the evening, that'd be it, sort of lights out in terms of any food consumption. Until 12 o'clock the following day. Now, originally, I used, you know, if I didn't eat, I'd be quite a horrible person. You know, my beautiful wife, Emma, would always say, have you eaten?
You're hungry.
Food, you know? Yeah. and it's amazing how your body and mind adapt. And it was a shock. And it was something that Luke and I had a chat about. And, you know, we gave it our all, and it worked. I mean, it worked for me, and it might not work for everyone, but for me, it very quickly, I was getting to sort of 10 o'clock in the morning and I wasn't hungry. You know, now it's, you know, now, what are we, 10:40? I'm not hungry, you know, and it's another one of those habits that you create. And it's just a new way of life, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think so. That was one thing that we worked on, an element that was really helpful for you. And like I say, there is no right or wrong. Like, I've got some clients that fast and they love it, others try it, it's not for them, and you know, it's. But I think the key is it's working out what's right for you, and then also having that like informed dialogue. Because, like you said, if the fasting didn't work, I'm not going to go, Charlie, you're not bad. Just great harder. It's like, well, actually, it's about let's have an adult conversation and work out. Well, if that wasn't working, why do we need to change that approach? Is it that your head's not in the right place for that? You know, and it's working on that. And I think one thing that we talked about, and if you think about, as you'd say now, how much you're doing now. Now, if I'd said at the start, Charlie, just do all that, you'd have been like, what is this guy's? Because this guy's gone nuts. But very quickly, like you said, setting those small foundations and you build those things very quickly, then you can build momentum. And like what you're doing now versus what you were doing at the start is kind of exponentially more. But I don't want to put words in your mouth, but not overwhelming. You're loving it, you know. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, it's not an addiction, that's the wrong word to use, but it gives me a real buzz, you know, doing my workouts, you know, making sure that I'm eating the right things. And don't get me wrong, you know, if we use the chicken and broccoli analogy, you know, it's not, Luke hasn't had me here weighing out all my food, you know, that would be sort of the next level, you know, if we was going to go down the sort of competing route. Yeah. But, you know, it doesn't have to be that. And I think a lot of people have to ask the question why they want to do it. You know, do they want to do it? Like for me, I remember, I think it was in between lockdowns, so summertime, I was pushing Oscar around on a little toy tractor and my back was killing me. I was out of breath and like, this is ridiculous. Like I can't even push my little lad around on a toy tractor without feeling like I've just run a marathon, you know? And it was, you know, I think we've had this conversation here, haven't we? You know, every dad wants to be, you know, their son's aura, their son's
hero. Exactly. That's
you
it.
Know, daughter's hero, son's hero. You know, and for me, you know, it was a real wake up call, realizing actually how unfit I was physically and mentally, and I think that's something that we identified relatively quickly. And it was that driving force as to why I'm doing this, not only to get lean and lose weight and get fitter, but also we said Charlie version 2, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was working towards being that better, stronger, fitter, more confident version. Yeah.
It's having that, it's knowing what your North Star is and having it, but then that allows you to sort of shape your current behaviors and what you're doing. So like, for example, we know what Charlie 2.0 looks like, and like he's more ripped and he's more muscular and he's feeling, you know, from a more, you know, a vanity aspect, and that's totally cool. It's cool to have those goals, but also like we discussed, it's understanding what's more fundamental and what's more important to me. It's like, well, yeah, that's cool, I want that, but actually I want to be a fit, strong, healthy dad. And also, does the Charlie 2.0, and if we future pace yourself and we did some exercises to work on that, are my actions today serving me to become that person? And would Charlie 2.0 do this thing? Would he sit on the sofa, scroll on his phone, not playing with his kids, eating Easter eggs without mindlessly? No, arguably not. I'm not, and you haven't done that and you won't, but it's like, it's having that sort of thought process. And that's, I think, where that self-accountability comes in. It's like, well, and I would argue it's a fine line, but it's subtle, but it's not beating yourself up and being hard on yourself. It's being able to be objective and almost have that adult conversation with yourself and go, is this what I want to be doing? Are my actions serving me? And it's once you learn that ability, like you said, it's that being able to sort of be a bit more objective about yourself. And there's exercise and methods that we can do to help that. I think that's, for me, and especially as you coach me seeing you, that's what's been empowering to see with you, because you've really sort of taken that and got in with your stride. It's like, well, actually, this is what I care about. And what I'm doing now, it's not just me, it impacts everything. And it's once you realize everything, the book stops with you, but and that's a real positive way as well, because like if you're feeling depressed, not as happy about yourself, feeling tired, run down, unfit, well, ultimately it's on you to sort it out, right?
Yeah.
But then that sounds harsh, but it's true. But then once you start taking ownership of that, you feel fucking good about yourself, and it has a positive impact on everyone else. But it sort of all starts with you, and that speaks to the thing you said right at the start, isn't it? About like it's about me ostensibly making the time for yourself, but then that bleeds into everything else in a positive way. If that makes
it 100%, and it rubs off on everything you do, your work, your family, your relationships, you know, even, I mean, like getting your steps up, for example, you know, we started, what did we start at? 7,000 steps?
I think so. I can check. I think it was about, maybe even less, it might be 6,000 or 7,000, something like that.
And every week we were like, because every week with Luke, you set new targets, 3 targets, and it was always, all right, I'm going to do 1,000 more steps, 1,000 more steps. And, you know, I was getting really pissed off if I didn't hit my step target, you know, walking round and round the block. Like, the dogs never look so fit. You know, and it's, I think a lot of people have, I guess it's never too late, is it, Luke? You know, it doesn't matter whether you are putting your socks on in the morning and struggling to reach the end of your feet, or, you know, feeling yourself rumble as you come down the stairs, or, you know, it's for me little things that I could feel my whole belly shaking when I was brushing my teeth, for example. It was like, this has got to have an end, you know, and we've got to change this now, you know. And the beauty of this as well is it's not 2 or 3 hours working out a day. You know, my average exercise time, or and I appreciate it won't be the same for everyone because everyone's at different levels, but for me, you know, my 30 to 45 minutes a day for 6 days a week is not where I started. We started doing 3 days a week?
Yeah, that's it.
30 minutes. You know, what's 30 minutes a day, and I've banged on to a few of my close mates about this, and, you know, they're saying, oh, we haven't got time and things like that. And it's I used to be like that, you know, but if we use the scrolling through TikTok or Instagram and that, you know, hours can go by that. And it's just once you make that first step to being a better you, it's amazing how quickly you see the results. Working alongside Luke, you know, for me, you know, it's just a no-brainer. And it was getting to a point where I was getting really competitive, and Luke was saying, look, set that target, but if you don't get it, don't panic.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like reining it in. Like, but that's good though, because and I think that's it. It's that, okay, I haven't got time. So we've discussed this. Someone said to me, they haven't got time. Okay, you can't work out. So get out of bed, do 5 squats. You can't do that. Yeah, what course can? Well, do that then. So it's like, and it's just flipping the scripts on how you approach things. Now you're probably doing more than quite a few of my clients, but that's because you're keen, you want to. But we didn't say at the start, right, you're doing 6 days and this, because again, that would have been overwhelming and too much.
Yeah,
and it's like, absolutely. Allow someone to see, I think, that, well, actually, maybe I can do something. I have got some time, but it's all about the perspective, and also it's about your priorities. So. And sometimes you can't see your priorities, and that's probably where the wall comes over. Because once that fog's lifted, it lies with you. You're like, well, of course people got time, but they're fucking around on the phone for 2 hours every day.
Yeah.
But when you're in that place and you're feeling a bit dark and you're not as mindful, you're not aware that you're doing these things, and it's about becoming more aware about your own actions along the process. Because then you go, oh yeah, I was doing that. Well, maybe I can spend half an hour doing this, and if I spend half an hour doing that, I'm going to be a better dad. I'm going to feel better about myself. I'll be a better husband. You know. All the other stuff, but sometimes it's about getting started, isn't it? And starting in the right place. And
I think for me it's slight adjustments. You know, for example, where I would normally drive to pick Oscar up from nursery, I now walk. Or if I'm in my car, I'll park 10 minutes away and then walk. You know, take the stairs, not the lift. Take the stairs, not the escalator.
Yeah.
It's tiny little things that, you know, anyone can do, you know, that just pushes your, I guess, physical activity up. And like you say, it's not like, right, join my program, we're going to do 6 days a week, I'll let you have Sundays off, we're going to be doing dead squats, burpees, I want you puking every session. It's not that. And people think of personal training like that. Like, I've had personal trainers before where, you know, they've literally been breathing down my neck, you know, and at the time it worked for me, but for now it wouldn't have, and I'd have just gone, no, I'm out. I'm done.
That's because, again, like, we've all got different, and you know, the people I tend to work with are, I say older, like probably 30 plus, like, you know, you're probably on the younger end of some of the guys that I work with, but like, it's realizing that all the things like life, work, family, wanting to have wine with your wife or husband or whatever in the evening, and, you know, wanting to socialize, they aren't things that should be fought or battled against. That's life, and it should be embraced. And if you're constantly trying to do something that just punches those things and tries to eradicate them, you're always going to fail, because those things are integral to life. So, like, you're busy with your kids, well, fine, work out something or put something in place that complements that. Like, you want to have wine and pizza with your missus on a Friday night, well, have that. But then build a structure around that supports that as well. So it's not about not having these things. It's about looking at it in a different way and go, well, these are some non-negotiables I want in my life. Like, you know, and I can't, and I don't want to take those away. So what do we need to change, and how do we look at things to allow for those things to happen and achieve your goals? But what fitness is, it's like, follow this plan and grind it out and that's it. That's sort of worked. We could have done that for 12 weeks and you'd have been in a similar situation, but you're hanging on by the skin of your teeth and you're like, oh, nice one, I'm finished. I've got to my logical place. And then what you do, you just go back to doing what you were doing. Whereas this way, we fundamentally help you address what you need to address to serve you now and the future. That's the idea, isn't it?
And I think I've spoken to a few people about what I've done as well. And it's, I'll be honest, a lot of what has benefited me more is kind of the other exercises that we do. So Luke gives me homework once a week. And I'm rushing around the night before to finish it like I was back at school. Yeah. And it's I guess the stereotypical alpha male would find it hard to write down their, what do we do? 5 pillars of success.
Your five pillars of success, like your values, and looking at that. And it's that being a bit more reflective and thinking and looking at yourself with an objective eye, which I think in general, humans aren't great at it, but especially blokes, we're pretty rubbish at that, so. Yeah,
exactly.
Or we've never done it. I think that's the better way to look at it.
Yeah. No, and that's, that's what's been a big eye opener for me. I've always been very wary of mental health, and, it's all, I've had very close friends that have been affected by it, and I've lost loved ones. And, for me, it almost that did more benefit to me than the training. But right back at the beginning, you said yourself, they are interlocked, intertwined, connected. There is no doubt about it. If you're feeling good up here, you're feeling good in your body. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. And I personally, this is my personal opinion, I don't think you can have one without the other. I think, if you don't work on this, you could train all day long, but you might look good, but you won't be happy. And I think that's what is happiness is different to everyone. To some people, it's an RS6 on the driveway in a big house. To others, it's seeing your lad score his first goal at football. It's different for everyone. But I honestly think that the exercises that you give out, and I'm sure they're slightly different for everyone because it's not a one size fit all at all. But I think, for me, when I remember saying to you, I don't know about this. Yeah. And it was, and one of the last exercises we do is write down what your 5 most important pillars of success are. And if you'd asked me to do that back in January, it would have been I probably wouldn't have been able to write down 5, let alone, explain them and talk to you about them, so it's mad. And that's in 12 weeks, it's a very short period of time to achieve something like that.
No, like I said, you've absolutely smashed it. I think what's great with you, Charlie, is you were, sometimes some of that, you call it woo-woo stuff, but it's the more self-reflective stuff, but it's also the mental health piece. Like, you were willing to just embrace it and go with it. And when you do it, you're like, well, hold up a second, this is quite interesting. Like the values thing. And I think, looking at, what matters and what you care about, that helps drive your success because you understand better why you're doing things. So I often say this, and it's like, often people sort of, when we initially might chat to someone, it's, I want to lose some weight because I'm feeling, uncomfortable about my body, my belly, I want to get rid of my dad bod, whatever. And often at a superficial level, we think it's like, that's the star jumps that I might not be doing in my living room, and it's the donuts that I'm eating on a Friday that's holding me back. And okay, maybe to some extent that is, but it's not really. It's like, it's the attitudes, the habits, the mindset, how they're viewing themselves. That's what trips us up. It's not really the food you're putting in your mouth and the exercise you are or aren't doing. Because like you said at the start, it's like, well, I sort of know what I need to do, and I kind of know. And that's what everyone says. The amount of people that I speak to go, I think I eat quite well, and, I do a bit of exercise. Well, why are we having this chat then? So, and it's like, well, not in a harsh way, but it's like, well, there's obviously something else going on. And if it was that easy, I'd be doing it. And that's not me to belittle someone's situation, because it is difficult, it's technically to look and feel good, you just eat a bit less and do some exercise. But if it was that easy, I'd be out of a job. It goes deeper than that. That's the point, right? And actually, when you do scratch the surface a bit and look at some of this other stuff, you're like, well, actually, it's quite empowering because I understand myself better, why I'm acting and doing the things that I'm doing. Some of the things that I thought are holding me back, well, maybe they're not anymore, because we've talked about it, thought about it, and actually I'm showing week in, week out that it's not holding me back. And that's, for me to watch as a coach is empowering, but then like I know you said it's like, well, actually, I'm fucking Batman. I can do this. This is cool, you know. And that's what I get a kick out of, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's. I mean, you know, if we say, you know, it's like hitting the reset button, kind of. You know, you know, we've all got the ability to do something, but it's understanding how to do it, you know. And don't get me wrong, like, I mean, yesterday I had a McFlurry from McDonald's, you know, I mean, Easter, you know, but for me, I own it. If I make that decision, if I'm going to have beer and a pizza at the weekend, you know, I just know that Monday morning session, I'm going to have to ramp it up a little bit, you know, and you own it, you know, and you just make that decision. It's not about being in a cage where, oh no, I'm on a 12-week fitness program and, you know, I can't possibly have a bit of chocolate, you know.
That's it. You saying that I think that's really important, and I talk about this a lot. I know we've talked to you about this a lot as well. Is that it's that owning your decisions, and I bang on about it on my social media. So you know, Easter, I drank like I think 4 days in a row. I wasn't feeling too clever. So, but equally, if I drink and I'm hungover, do the kids want a mopey twat for a dad the next day? No. They haven't chosen that. I was the one who chose to get pissed. So, well, I best, you know, well, that means I'm choosing the hangover. So I've got to own. So that's what we talk about, owning that decision. It's not about being hard on yourself. It's like, well, you're a grown up. Decide what you want to do. You want to have beer and pizza, have beer and pizza. That's cool. Tomorrow's a new day. But like, if you approach that situation from a perspective, this is something I want to do. I'm consciously going to do it, and I'm cool with that. That's very different to, oh, I'm being naughty. Maybe I should, I shouldn't. It's like, no, just own your decisions. And I think when you approach it from that, you don't have that guilt, or I've done something bad, or I've been naughty. It gives you that sort of freedom to go, well, actually, I'm in control of what I'm doing, and of course I can have that because I'm allowed that. I'm grown up, you know. It's a more empowered place to sort of to operate from, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. I think, you know, the old me, if you like, would have, you know, smashed a load of Easter eggs this weekend and then gone, oh, that's that then.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Saturday, so on a Saturday, I out of my own choice, I'll say, Luke, Dad doesn't make me do this, but every Saturday I do this horrendous burpee and press up and star jumps and it's horrendous. Saturday sickener, we call it.
Yeah.
But for me, you know, whilst I'm doing that, I'm thinking, you know, if I smash this, I can have that Easter egg later.
Yeah. That's about that balance, isn't it? It's not about earning things, because, you know, food is food. There's no guilt or emotion associated with food. But like, it's also knowing that, you know, you can do things. And if you're looking at your life with a bigger picture lens, it's not about the minutiae of, if I've eaten this Easter egg, it's all gone wrong. So no. Well, big picture, am I doing regular exercise? Am I feeling fit and healthy? Am I hitting the habits that I know make me feel good? Well, yeah. So having an Easter egg doesn't matter. Like, or actually, I'm having a weekend of indulgence. Well, maybe I'm going to dial it in a little bit this next week, push the workouts a little bit harder, maybe a bit more mindful around what I eat, because I know that I've relaxed a bit. But that's also cool. And it's knowing that it all sort of fits and sits together, and having the confidence in your own self and abilities to know that that's all cool as well, you know?
Absolutely. It comes back to that accountability and self-discipline, in my opinion. You know, it's you make that decision and then you deal with it, you know, whether that's, okay, today I'm going to do this many steps and I'm going to do this workout, you know, and there is always time to do something. It doesn't have to be a full, like you say, 5 squats in the morning, do 10 squats in the shower, you know, just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's keep something upstairs that you normally keep downstairs, so you have to go upstairs, you know, do the hoovering more, you know, there's always something you can do. And I think it's really important also to get out there that, you know, you don't have to be at a certain level to change. You don't, you know, you could have hated sport all your life, but you could still be sat there, you know, getting blasted in the face on social media by all these unrealistic fitness models, advertising this, that, and that, you know. And, you know, for me, I've taken a bit of a back step from social media since we've been working. You know, I use it to get pictures out there for the family and stuff to see. But, you know, I try and limit my time on social media because it's not necessarily good for you. I'd say if you were in a place where I was December, January time, endlessly scrolling through social media is not cool.
It's not going to do you any favors, is it?
No. But now I can sift through social media. It doesn't bother me at all. But, you know, I think that's something that, you know, I just want to say is, you know, it doesn't matter whether you've done exercise before or not. If you're sat there and you're not happy with how you look in the mirror, or you're nervous of getting your kit off when we can eventually go on holiday, or, you know, you're not feeling good upstairs, then, you know, I would just say give Luke a shout. And it's a no obligation, isn't it, Luke? You know, you can, and to be fair, like, I mean, I think me or Luke spoke about 4 or 5 times before I finally, in my opinion, plucked up the courage to say, yeah, I'm going to do this. It is a leap.
We had a chat in the blower, and then we had a chat like this, didn't we? And then you were like, well, then we just, that's how we decide, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, for me, it was that initial conversation gave you lots of food for thought, and it's taking that jump, but, you know, one that I certainly don't regret at all.
No, thank you. Well, I've loved working with you, mate. It's been amazing. So, if we were like, just to wrap this up a little bit then, so a couple more questions. What would you say is your main takeaway from I mean, there's a lot we've talked about already, but like, if you could name 1 or 2 things, your main takeaways from your time of us working together that you're going to take from now and going to run with, what would that be?
I think my main takeaway from this would be that, you know, it doesn't matter how unfit or how weak or how fat or, you know, how much of a dad bod you feel you've got, it's never too late.
Yeah.
I think, you know, all it takes is that first step towards where you want to be. And everyone has their different sort of ideals. You know, for me, it was to lose fat, get fitter mentally and physically, put on some muscle, and just get my sort of body confidence back a little bit. And what the program has shown me is that, you know, it's possible. Anything is possible, you know, and apply that to whether you want a promotion at work, you know, whether you want to do a Tough Mudder, a marathon, buy a house, you know, whatever you do, just stop thinking about it and just pull your finger out.
I love that, mate. That's awesome. So you've kind of already answered this. Well, you've said it a bit, but I'll ask you the question anyway before we get off. So, like, let's say there's a couple of people watching this, your mates or anyone else within my network who's thinking, "Oh, I'm kind of interested, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it's for me. Like, should I do it?" What would you say to them? Yeah, what would you say to them for people who aren't sure, or that's on the fence about working with like me or somebody like me?
Yeah, I think you have to ask the question why you're watching this in the first place. If you're sat there watching this, or you're following Luke on social media, or you're in that environment where you are having videos and posts about getting fitter in front of you, that's already your kind of call to action to say, I'm interested in this. And, you know, I think it doesn't matter, you know, how nervous, worried, scared you are of doing something, you won't regret it, because it doesn't matter how much time you have or haven't got. You know, the way Luke does his programs is to make it work around you. You know, Luke doesn't say, we've got a call at this time, be there. You know, it's what time works for you. And there's an app that it's like a walkie-talkie. And it's brilliant, you know, like I can send a voice note to Luke, and Luke can send a voice note to me, or I'll send him. I mean, when I hit just shy of 93 kilos, you know, it was like Christmas.
Yeah. Way party time.
And it's, you know, if you're sat there doing the whole, oh, I've got to lose some weight, or I really want to get back into shape, or I want to do this, or I'm training for something, just drop Luke a message, or drop me a message, and I mean, I'll give you my honest opinion. I've been contacted by a few people about my program with Luke, and I've given a very honest opinion of it. And, you know, it's zero bullshit. You know, it's achieve what you want to achieve. Luke's not, he's not a magician. It is down to you ultimately, but he has the expertise and tools to make it achievable, and you have to do it. You know, you've got 12 weeks to achieve it. Why would you throw that opportunity away? You know, so yeah,
nice.
That's mine.
Charlie, thank you very much. You know, you're a superstar. I love working with you. We've got one more week left, haven't we? So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully for everyone who's been listening to Charlie, celebrate his success and see, how far he's come and what he's achieved. If you are interested in having a chat and working with me, obviously Charlie, he said he's happy to chat, but drop me a note, drop me a DM. I have got some space available at the moment. And yeah, if you want success like this bad man here, give me a shout and you can smash it. So Charlie, thank you very much for your time, mate. Much appreciated. Yeah, have a great week, guys.